Welcome to Spam Filter for Your Brain, bite-sized ponderings on how our thoughts influence our behaviour and our lives, and because we're all connected, how our thoughts impact the world. I'm here to help people reconnect with their bodies and declutter their brains. And I don't believe that we should just magically know how our emotions and our thoughts impact our lives if no one ever teaches us. So let's learn this stuff together. This week, I wanted to speak a little bit about something that so many of us struggle with. And it's something that I hear a lot of people come to coaching with, but it takes a little bit of digging to get down there. And that is the idea that you are your own worst enemy. It's something that I think people say to themselves a lot when they notice that they're saying something unkind to themselves. And then they kind of just brush it off. They're like, oh, yeah, I would never speak to somebody else like that. And then move on as if that isn't the key crux of so much of the suffering that we navigate in our daily lives. And this week, I wanted to propose a few tiny disruptors that you can use to navigate around some of those voices that you might have been using against yourself, maybe your whole life, the things that you have said to yourself so often that it sounds like it's your voice. And I just want to invite you to question where some of that stuff comes from. So rather than looking at the idea of not speaking to yourself with the kind of kindness and compassion that you would want for other people, I invite you to just stop and pause. And rather than laying it as just one more thing that you don't feel you're getting right, some kind of major personality flaw, I invite you to notice when you talk to yourself in a way that you don't think is kind or fair or generous, and pause and just ask yourself, where am I giving my power away here? I think that quite often many of us have it as a reflex, a way of just dismissing ourselves or criticizing ourselves without even thinking about it. Where is doing that undermining the agency that you have as a human? As a human who can create kindness, who can disrupt someone else who is being unkind, who can notice when someone's struggling on the street and offer to help them, notice where it's taking your power away from being able to create any kind of world that is more inclusive and equitable, and the kind of spaces that notice who isn't in the room. Where is undermining yourself and not being gracious with yourself taking that power away from you? And if that is something that's important to you, I then invite you to ask who is taking that power away. Where is the kind of stuff that you're saying to yourself replicated in wider society? Whose messaging are you parroting? Whose marketing are you doing for them? Who benefits when you talk to yourself like that? And what kind of systems and structures are you adding to when you add that level of denigration to another human being? That human being just happens to be you. What are you adding to in the world when you speak to yourself like that? Take it away from the personal of, oh, this is just something that I do, and pause and go, is this something that I want to be amplifying in the world right now? Is this something that the world needs? And I'm talking very theoretically, but the obvious one is body image for me. If you are saying horrible things to yourself in the mirror, do we really need more people who hate their bodies right now? Is that useful? Is that useful when there is so many really important issues that need our time and energy and heart? And what we're doing is verbally attacking someone who cares about stuff like that. Is that what you want to be doing with your time? Do you think that that is a good use of your heart and your energy? Because there are only so many hours in the day, my love. And you don't have to do that. We can choose something different. You thrive, more of us thrive when systems of oppression don't flourish. And currently, we are in an economy where many systems of oppression don't just flourish from our financial benefit, they flourish from our attention and from our energy and from us not questioning where we're parroting some of the things that we have been taught throughout our entire lives about how insignificant, how rubbish, and generally not good enough we are. You don't need to be adding to that messaging. And I would bet you hard cash that you telling yourself that you're not good enough is not adding any benefit to the world at all. You can interrupt this. It is what I teach inside Self-Care School. Teach some very simple methods for you to be able to notice this stuff, interrupt this stuff, and start to retrain your brain. And if self-care school isn't the right thing for you right now, that doesn't mean that you are excluded from this work by any means. But I also do know how long I wasted not thinking that this was possible for me to change the way that I spoke to myself, because I was secretly the terrible person who wasn't good enough. No one really knew quite how awful I am. And therefore, all of these promises that I used to hear about things that would work and would make a difference and would help, just like water off a duck's back to me, because people didn't secretly know how terrible I really was. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you to just give it a go. Give it a go. There is a link in the show notes here to hop onto a free 15-minute laser focused coaching call if any of this stuff rings true to you, and if you just want to have a chat about how it might be really nice to just stop being quite so hard on yourself. If you would love that and you would like to look at bringing more kindness into your life, I would love that too. And the link is there. I hope that this idea of just checking in with yourself, is this helping the world? Is this building more of the world that I want to be creating? And is there a way that I can begin to undo some of the messaging that I have been taught that keeps people more looking at all of the things that they might be doing wrong rather than looking out towards the world, and more of the things that we can create with more kindness, more care, more generosity towards others. I hope that this has been a useful little disruptor into your day. And if no one else has told you today, least of all yourself, I think you're brilliant. You're worth the time and care. And I wish for easy days full of love and kindness for you. I'll speak to you next week. If you've been enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, you will love Self-Care School. Self-Care School is longer versions of this, more in-depth and more personalised. We have a whole hub of courses from body image to boundaries, perfectionism, time management, and a whole range of other topics. You name it, there's probably a course on it. But most importantly, we also have a weekly group coaching call where you get to apply this stuff to your everyday life and get support to try and untangle your own story from some of the emotions that you might not be enjoying in your life. If you would like to learn how to apply this work to your specific situation and to be building a life of your dreams, I would love to see you inside. Do pop over to selfcareschool.co.uk.